everyone. My name is Justina, and I have pleasure to welcome everyone to the official launch of Space Robotics Society. Space Robotics Society is an international organization dedicated to the advancements of space technology. Maybe you already know, but the agenda for today's meeting is as follows. So first, Sagar, our, we could say CEO, will talk about our mission, our objectives, and will introduce you our initiatives. Then we will have a short presentation of our special guest. Then something that everyone is waiting for, which is IRC and IRDC rulebook. I think you are very curious how this year's edition should look like. And finally, we will cover selected Space Robotics Society activities, which is WISE and RISE. So I think that I can introduce Sagar. Sagar, the floor is yours to tell a little bit more about Space Robotics Society.
Yeah, thank you, Christina, and good evening to everyone, and good morning to those who are in different time zone. So, first of all, I would like to start with how we started. So, it was in the year 2016. I was in my second year of engineering, and I got introduced to a wonderful team, which was building Mars rovers, and it was student project team, and we were participating in a lot of student competitions. After working in a team for 2 years, uh, I became the event manager for a competition by the name Indian Road Challenge. So it was altogether a different experience for me and all my teammates, and it was a competition which was not there in any of the global South countries, and those kind of competition used to happen only in North Africa and Europe. So after organizing the competition and after participating in that competition earlier, we thought why not to continue this thing. And then in 2020, we hosted the next edition of IRC, and then again we started a lot of new other competitions, online as well as physical competitions during the COVID period. So there is always a need of this kind of organization which focuses primarily on the technical part, and especially a field like robotics, which is interdisciplinary in nature, which is something where all disciplines, all domains can associate themselves with. Whether someone is studying science, whether somebody is studying engineering, or whether someone is into mathematics. So it's a field where everybody and all can get involved. And apart from that, the major reason of starting this initiative is that now we have seen the emergence of new space. So earlier, when we used to see the major space activities were undertaken by the government organizations, whether it is NASA, whether it is Roscosmos, or whether in the case of India it is Indian Space Research Organization. But now, during the last decade, we have seen that that's not the case now. Now, a lot of private entities, a lot of private players are in the space technology field, and they are contributing in a very healthy way. And we have seen how satellite data and other things have kind of increased, and how they are helping in various domains which were earlier not thought of. So I think and I believe that it is the most important thing to involve the youth and the students in this field, and also it acts as a platform and acts as a base to further their engineering skills. And as we say, unless and until we do something practically, we don't know how that thing works. So we have been doing a lot of competitions earlier, but now with the starting of Space Robotics Society, our aim is not just to limit ourselves to one or two competitions, or limit ourselves to one particular kind of structure, but our aim is to uh, become a complete ecosystem where we can, starting from the K-12 students, we can target undergrads, and we can act as a bridge between the students and the faculties and the experts from the industries, so that the acceleration which is required to achieve the needs of the future, so we can have that kind of setup with us. And now coming to our mission is very simple, that is advancing space technologies for a better, open, limitless, and developed future. We call it bold future. And the reason of going with this is that we want to have a platform, we want to have a hub in the form of Space Robotics Society, which works for the betterment in all the space tech forms and allied fields, and also which is open to everybody, irrespective of the nationality, irrespective of the region, and irrespective of the background of what they are studying. We are open to everybody, and there's no limits. As there are no limits to space, there are no limits to the work here. So whoever is interested in space can be part of our entity, and can work towards propelling space to new heights. And one major thing which we were lacking earlier and now we are focusing on is involving experts from the academia as well as the industry. Earlier, in most of the competitions, there were competitions for the students and by the students. That thing works to a certain extent, but at the end of the day, we require assistance and guidance from the people like who are into that field 24/7, who are into that field and who have experience. So those are the two main things which we are uh, planning to focus on. And apart from that, all our competitions like International Rover Challenge, uh, International Rover Design Challenge, they will continue as it is. And from this year onwards, we also plan to uh, engage students in research activities, especially the budding researchers who want to continue their rover involvement, and they want to work in on the research topics. And that will be explained to you in a short while by Dr. Ujjwal Verma, who is guiding us with that program. And apart from that, last year we hosted hackathon as well. So that competition will again be coming back in a new form. And one of our major targets, which remains there for 2024, is making International Planetary Air System Challenge, IBES Challenger field competition. We hosted that and we experimented that in 2020 as an online competition, and that was quite successful. And now our aim is to make it a field competition just like IRC, so that we can have both the competitions together, and even the students who are in drone teams, planetary drone teams, they can also get involved. So this is about what we plan to achieve. So whatever we are planning to achieve or whatever we have as our intention uh, is only possible because of the support which we get from all the teams, and which we expect to get from all of you. And I hope that within a very short period of time, we will be able to establish ourselves as a major platform which works towards advancing space tech. And now I would like to invite Dr. Ramesh. He is Dean Research and Development of Presidency University. And Presidency University is the institute which is hosting IRC 2023 finals. And the dates of the competitions are from 28 to 31st January. And it is the first time when we are hosting the competition in India's IT capital, which is Bangalore. And it becomes a more important competition this year because last 2 years competition did not take place because of COVID. And so this year is a kind of a completely new experience for all the teams who are participating there, because they don't have any prior experience in participating IRC, because all the earlier members are now retired as they have completed their engineering and graduations. So, Dr. Ramesh, I think there's some issue. He is unable to hear us. Now I would like to move to Daryl Robertson. He's a familiar face in the rover community, and he has been part of the community for over a decade now. And he's one of the person like who I first got interacted with uh, when we started Indian Rover Challenge way back in 2018. And since then, he is one of our main advisor. Now, from Daryl, I would like to know from you how competitions like IRC, and how platforms like Space Robotics Society can play a role in defining the future of space robotics, and in general how space robotics is defining the future of space, because now we have seen so many robots and robotic systems, autonomous systems are part of our space exploration, which was not the case earlier when we look back like 30 years back, 50 years back.
Hi, good morning, or at least my time. um, yeah, I'm assistant director for the University Rover Challenge, and it, it's good to see this community growing and getting more involvement, and with the start of SPROS, and I'm looking forward to seeing the new rules for the Indian Rover Challenge and the International Rover Design competition come out. So that should be exciting. I know this all started a while ago, and um, the one thing that we particularly hear from our alumni, um, when they graduate and move off in industry, is that the experience that they had um, building and designing rovers here is one of the most formative experiences of their education. In particular, working in multidisciplinary teams that is often lacking in people's undergraduate educations, where you tend to be focused on one little subject, um, and the ability to work with geologists and biologists and engineers, all working towards a common goal of working on an exciting and fun project, and the ability to compete with that. And we have people go on to careers all across the aerospace industry, um, and they're very highly considered and sought after in the aerospace community, and it's just a fantastic educational experience, and that's what we and I guess this has been Saga's dream for a while now, to expand this and launch S Pros, and so I'm looking forward to see how this develops. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. And now I would like to move to Manik, because today we are also launching the rulebook for IRC 2023. And during the last 2 weeks, I have got so many emails and requests from the teams about the timeline of the competition, and when the competition is going to take place. And so, yeah, all are excited about it. As I mentioned earlier, it's been 2 years now, more than 2 years. So, and I think now Dr. Ramesh is back. So before moving to Manik, Dr. Ramesh, so this year's competition is happening at your institute, Presidency University. So what are your thoughts on that? Because already you have been hosting so many other competitions. Why have you moved and you wanted to host a robotics competition of this kind? Uh, yes, Dr. Ramesh. I guess I still there's some issue. So Manik, yeah, can you take us through the rule book of this year's IRC? What are
Yeah.
the new things in the rule book, and what are the changes from the past year's rule book?
So yeah, good evening, everyone who are in the South Asian region, and I guess good morning to everyone who's watching from the West. So yeah, as Justina has put up the cover page of the International Rover Challenge, our team has been working hard over the past couple of weeks or even a couple of months to get this together for you, for all the rover teams. So as we know, through the pandemic, all of our operations had been disrupted, and physical competitions were hard to come by. Like all of us are glad that that uh, that the pandemic is over, and now we're finally able to host a competition of this size, and give students the involvement that they so crave for. So this year's competition has been finalized to be taking place like around the 28th January to the 31st of January. It'll take place in Bangalore, India, and the university that we have partnered with for this year is Presidency University of Bangalore. So IRC is back with a bang, and like we have many changes going forward. So we try to make sure that teams cover uh, like all aspects, including technical aspects, including management aspects, including the aspect of video creation, of really testing the rover to the limits. So IRC this year will have similar tasks, but of course each task has different iterations. So the rule book will be available on the website, and of course our social media handles, and also you'll get access to that. So the teams will they can go through each of the minor details in detail. And so this year, what we have done is we've also included an aspect of project management, which I would like to bring out. So traditionally, our rover challenges had been fairly technical. There was a lot of electronics, mechanical, coding, life sciences, all of those domain aspects were involved, and that was great. But we realized that project management is an integral part of making a rover. Me being part of like a rover team, know it firsthand. Without proper project management, these initiatives would not be seeing the light of day. So we've included those aspects as well, and we'd want teams to pay good attention to those aspects, because at the end, that is how you get your capabilities on the field. So a lot of exciting things are in store in the rule book. So you can go through that. And also on this day, we launched the International Rover Design Challenge of 2022. So IRDC, this is the third edition of IRDC, which we are doing this time, and we're trying to build a sort of a link between IRDC and IRC, because it just made sense. Like we tried to pilot IRDC for the first 2 years, but now we're transitioning into bridging the gap between IRC and IRDC, so that teams do their R&D for IRDC, and they can actually implement those findings in their final rovers that they make for IRC. So the IRDC rulebook would also be available uh, on our handles, and of course on the website. So yeah, that is more or less it on the competition. And like people are familiar with the International Rover Design Challenge as well, but I'll just give you a brief on what it actually aims to do. So we started IRDC amidst the pandemic, when it was going on and people did not have access to physical rovers. So IRDC still remains an important part of this entire journey, as we realized, because the R&D part of the rover was often like that cycle was really shortened. So we wanted to put more emphasis on systems engineering, on how physical aspects of the rover interact with the Martian environment. So that part, we felt was sort of missing on the field competitions. So through IRDC, we are trying to bring those research aspects. Teams get to go through the nitty-gritties of each component of the rover in the Martian environment. So that is majorly the focus of IRDC. So you get to work on simulations, you get to work on design aspects, you get to work on the technicalities, the requirements, while keeping in the physical constraints in mind. So yeah, that is the good news that we have, that both of the rule books are launched, and even like and we are trying to follow the rover challenge calendar as smoothly as possible, so that they don't overlap with other competitions as well, because we do understand that teams have their own constraints. So yeah, Sagar, if you have anything deeper to add, we'd be happy to hear you. You're on mute, Sagar.
Yeah, so Manik has covered pretty much everything, but I would like to bring your attention to two main things. And during this year's IRC, what we are doing, we are not calculating the qualification points to the final. So earlier, what we used to do, we used to calculate the qualification points, and then used to add those points to the final points, the points which teams score during the four final tasks. So this year we are getting away with the practice, and we are keeping both the things separate. So the teams, whatever they score in the qualification, won't be added to the final scores. So that gives teams a little bit flexibility, and the rankings will be decided completely on the performance in the field, because it's a field competition. We don't want to stick to the online component here in deciding the best teams, because anyway there are so many other online competitions, and IRDC itself is one where we judge their report making and other things. And IRDC has been made as the first stage of the IRC, because earlier what we were realizing was there were three things. One was designing, the second one was manufacturing, and third one was operating, testing and operating the rover. But there was one stage which was missing: conceptualization. So to have a concept, because we're not building these rovers for Earth operations, we're building these for Mars operations. So it is important for the team to know more about Martian atmosphere, Martian conditions, and Martian terrain, so they know how the rover will be able to achieve its missions there. And earlier, what we have seen is that generally the astrobiology team or sub team of the rover team used to have good knowledge about that. But other domains, especially mechanical, electronics, and software domain, they did not have much information about that. And we used to see there's a a kind of mismatch in certain aspects. So to overcome that, we introduced IRDC earlier so that teams build their concept and they have a better understanding of what they're working on. So that has been added there. And also this year we are allowing up to 5 teams to directly qualify for the finals. This has been a request from a lot of teams for past at least 2 years. Right now we have so many rover competitions across the world, and a lot of teams are participating in multiple competitions. So it becomes quite difficult for them to uh, participate in a competition and side by side simultaneously work on the work for the other competition as well. So if a team has a working rover, and with that rover they have participated in one competition during this period of 2022, uh, and their rover is compatible for, as per the IRC's rule book, and it is eligible to participate in the competition. So those teams will be allowed. And but in that we have given one condition, that the team should have will consider only the teams which have performed good on the field task. We're not considering any side from any points from their qualification or anything. And if they fulfill these conditions and they prove the readiness of their rover to the judges, so that will happen through an online call and online video, so that judges are aware that they are ready to participate in the competition. So those teams will be allowed to directly qualify for the finals. And so that is one flexibility which has been given to the teams now. So yeah, these were the two main points which I wanted to highlight. And also we have kept the competition again in January 28 to 31st of January. So that is a time which suits all the teams, whether it is Indian teams or like teams from South Asia or the Western teams. So that is the plan to continue with this timeline in coming years as well. So yeah, that is about IRC, and the registration for both the competitions, IRC and IRDC, will start from 30 August. So you can register for both the competitions, and if you have any doubts, you can approach us through the email ID given you in the rule book. Now I would like to move to a completely different topic. As I mentioned you earlier, we are working on something related to research. So we call it RISE, Research in Space Exploration. That is something which we wanted to do for a very long time, because we were finding that there were some teams in the rover community which were really good in the competitions. They were winning the competitions, so they used to perform really good. But the research output from that team were not that great. So to also get some research output from the teams, and we have seen now that there are so many team members and teams which are interested in research, but they don't have knowledge, they don't have a foundation to start research uh, in the rover and space related fields. So to overcome that and to provide a solution to that, we are starting research in space exploration. And we are doing this project under the guidance of Dr. Ujjwal Verma. He is head of department electronics and communication engineering at MIT Manipal Bangalore campus. And he is someone who is involved with the rover community since 2018. In fact, when I was the event manager for IRC 2019 competition, he was one of the judges, and he guided us during that competition. So he knows about the rover community inside out. So, yes, Dr. Ujjwal Verma.
Thank you, Sagar. Thank you for that introduction. So, welcome everyone. Good evening to those who are in this zone, and good morning to those who are in the US and Europe, probably. So, regarding this RISE program, as Sagar pointed out, the title of the name RISE program is Research in Space Exploration. And as I suppose you are already a part of a rover team in your college, in your school, university, and you might have felt at a certain point of time that, okay, I have some innovative ideas. I want to look at the rover from a different perspective. It can be either from the mechanical domain or from the robotic or from the electronics domain, communication, or from the science domain. So you have a certain idea, a certain innovative concept that you wanted to try out on your rover for the next competition, be it IRC, URC, or any other competition. But you probably are not very familiar. How do we proceed? How do you verify that, or how do you validate whether the idea that you have with you is a new idea, a completely different idea which is not existing right now. So this is where this RISE program comes into the picture. It will basically train you as a young researcher. It will basically bridge the gap between your actual working on the rover, and if you wanted to do something innovative, you wanted to explore certain different tasks. So this is the program. This is the program that we have introduced here. So the structure of this program would be typically around 6 months, more or less, and we will have in the initial few phases, in the initial few months or weeks, we will have some interactive sessions, some lectures, some webinars from renowned researchers who will tell what exactly is the process of research. If you are thinking about exploring a particular domain, let's say the artificial intelligence, electronics, how do you read research papers? How do you compile the existing information from those papers and see if the idea that you have is already existing or it's a completely new idea? In the second stage, of course, if you have a new idea, you need to publish it, you need to spread that to the world. So in the next phase, we will tell you how do we write a research paper, how do you put the ideas, the experiments, the results that you obtained in a form of a technical document and publish it in a conference or a journal. So all these will be taken as in the first few months in the webinar in an online mode, and later on you will be assigned a mentor, a faculty from the university, from our team, and he will be assisting you. He will be mentoring you in throughout that 6 month journey of this program and ensure that you will have a proper skill set at the end of this 6 months program. So to summarize this, this would be a kind of a mentoring program that is being offered by the Space Robotics Society to train you as a young researcher. And if you are really interested in pursuing a career in research, and if you have an inclination in space exploration, it can be in any domain, the robotics, mechanical, artificial intelligence, science task, any domain, then this is the program for you. Thank you, Sagar. I think I covered all the points.
Yes, sir, you have covered all the points, and uh, we hope to start the program soon. And I think by November we will be live with that. And
Yes.
more importantly, we have not kept any fees. I think just a $5 registration fee, so that we have only serious contenders. And yeah, that's about the program. And we see, in future we see like that RISE program and the rover competition, everything going simultaneously, so that we can develop an ecosystem, and everything is interlinked with the other thing. So that is our long-term plan, and in this duration, we will also be adding certain new competitions to it. So even the people and students who are not sure about what they want to pursue in the space field, So they can just start by participating in one of the event or the competition, or just start by participating in the RISE program, and then they can decide on which direction they want to go. Because I've seen in the past there's so many people who are from non-tech background, but they want to pursue something in technical, and the people who are from tech background and they are more interested in something non-tech. So that always remains. And now I would like to bring once again Daryl, and I would like to ask him what is the most important thing which you see, uh, and like which you see about the students of the rover competitions, and the students, especially the students which come to the second year in the rover competition, because whenever someone goes in the first time, they don't have any idea what to do and how to do. But I myself experienced this when I was new in the team. No idea, just building something for the mass. That was the only idea. But as we pass on, as we complete our time in the team, and as we work together, there are certain changes. As you are someone who is involved with the rover competitions for a decade now, so I think your experience will be worth sharing with everybody who is listening to us.
Yeah, it's always really exciting to watch teams gain experience and grow in their capabilities. Almost without exception, there are very few first time teams that do well at all. But the second year that they come out and compete, I mean, the sky's the limit. We've had teams on the podium in their second year. Um, uh, Most of the time that they are struggling. They come out with rovers. The first time that the rovers are usually barely functional. They just sneak past the acceptance review, but they get out. They come out and they test the rover in the field in competition, and the experience that they gain there by doing that, and by meeting and talking with the other teams, is just really invaluable to their progress. And like I say, I mean, by the time they're on their second or third generation of the rover, what we see teams doing really well. In particular, wheels tends to be an issue for the first time rovers. They tend to be underpowered, or too narrow, or too small, or don't have enough of grip. And the same with the electronics and the arm, working from joint by joint manipulation to running with inverse kinematics, and the same applies to all the systems. Honestly, just coming out and getting that experience, and as has already been said, a lot of the best performing teams are doing actual research, that they're not just building a off the shelf rover. They are customizing many components of the rover, and doing experiments to find out what what's well, and what works okay, and what works better. And some of these things, it's just a matter of complexity. I mean, there's always the principle of keeping it simple, and then at least in the beginning, that's how most teams start, and then to get that top level performance requires an extra complexity that requires a lot of investment in research, basically, and in testing the systems. And so that's always really exciting to see, as the rovers grow in capability, and as the teams grow with it in experience and learning.
Yeah, you have put it really well, and you have simplified everything. And I can relate it with myself, and I think even others who are present who have been part of rover teams earlier, they can relate to. Now, I will move to Manik once again. Manik, you have been with us for past 3 years, and before that, you were part of the rover team for 3 years. Uh, every year, we face a lot of challenges, the rover teams, and somehow or the other way, they come up with the innovative solutions and with different strategies, and they overcome that. But now we got a different kind of issue in the form of COVID, which has broken the team's continuity. And now we don't have any member in the teams or the rover teams which have participated in the rover competition earlier. So, what do you think? How will this change the rover competitions, especially the competitions which are going to happen in the near future, and especially in 2023? And how will it impact the design of the rover? And where does that online competitions like IRDC fits in to fill that gap?
Yeah, so Sagar, as you mentioned that, so I was part of the rover team. So it's been, I think, I was there for 3 years in Rudra from SRM in India. So after 2020, after COVID happened, as I mentioned that teams had a tough time adjusting to this new normal. They didn't know what to do. They basically didn't have uh, any goal. I mean, they weren't even sure if the competition is going to happen, and things started getting cancelled. So all of these factors, again, as I mentioned about project management, they came into play. That how do you make phases of your development? When do you manufacture? Do you actually invest in manufacturing when there is actually no certainty about the event, even if it's going to be happening also? So yeah, in terms of logistics, in terms of management, teams did face a lot of trouble, but I think that experience actually led to rebirth of those teams. So as you said that people in the teams right now, they actually haven't been to a physical competition. Many of the teams, I mean, URC happened this year, that was great, but so many, but still due to COVID, many teams were left with people who don't have actual field experience, and even there are no seniors who can guide them directly. So in terms of that, we do see that there is a total rebirth. We like as competition organizers now are trying to adjust to that that changing dynamic of those teams, and we're trying to introduce problems so that teams can take a different lens of adoption. So the IRDC and the IRC rule books are being designed that way, so that teams have the flexibility of expanding their minds, of thinking of new ways to solving solutions. So the problems that we have kept, they have the base foundation as same, like as was before, but we are adding new elements year on year, so that the students actually get some food for thought on how to solve those problems. So we're not keeping the the innovation isn't just happening with solutions. We have to innovate with the problems as well, so that the teams also get more food for thought to think about. And IRDC, I think that fits in perfectly here, because as you mentioned that there was a gap in conceptualization. So the designing, manufacturing, and the implementation stage was there, but now conceptualization also plays a big part in it, because through that conceptualization stage you actually get more ideas in the design stage. So that backward integration of this IRC physical competition into IRDC has helped a lot, and teams will actually delve deeper into research and to thinking about their systems more profoundly. They'll develop better capabilities for their physical competition. So in a way that develops great synergy, and that goes in sync with what Dr. Ujwal also said about research, about actually getting out value of like from their competitions, because we see that teams are developing rovers, they're doing great job on the field, but there is no research output. So what we identified was that people teams are capable enough to build such machines. So why not actually delve slightly deeper into research and get some meaningful inferences out of it as well. So that is where Rise also comes in as a good synergistic initiative, where teams get to basically experience the entire ecosystem of learning there. So yeah, in those terms, the COVID pandemic sort of helped us into this new normal, where we transitioned into a more holistic learning experience for teams. And I think that students should tap into this opportunity in their college lives to get the most out of their experiences.
Thanks, Manik. So, Now I would like to move to Justina, and as she mentioned earlier, we have one more project by the name WISE, which is Women in Space Exploration. We have seen the participation from girls and women in a very limited number in this field like space and engineering, and especially it's more skewed in countries in the east, and we still have a lot to cover in that, especially countries in Asia and Africa are the one where we have very limited participation from women. So to change that, it's vital to have certain programs and to uh, do whatever possible in in a particular region and involve more number of women and girls. So for that, we have a program by the name WISE. So Dashina, can you just explain us what's it all about?
Yes, of course. So, WISE, which is Women in Space Exploration, is our project that aims to assist women and girls all over the world to in unlocking their access to space technology, to space education, and to space career. So we believe that it is now more important than ever before to inspire girls and women to break down the barriers to pursue STEM education and explore opportunities and careers in the space sector. So our project called WISE assume building a global network of leaders, first to educate young girls, then what was mentioned before, to provide university students with the opportunity to challenge their engineering skills through, for example, IRC or IPAS challenge. We want to provide research mentorship through, for example, RISE program, and we want to collaborate with other organizations to make this change together. So if you have an idea how you can work with us, or if you see that this is something for you, don't hesitate to contact us. So I think this is the most important thing about our WISE program. I think that you can find all details on our website, which haven't been mentioned before, but we will write it on the chat section right away. So make sure to follow that link and to visit our website. And Sagar, do you want to add something else about our activities?
Yeah, before that, I would like to again go back to Dr. Verma. So now my previous question was to Manik regarding how this pandemic has affected the rover team students. And I guess similar kind of impact would have been on the research, and especially the research which involve these kind of activities. And we have seen recently the emergence of online education, edtech, and virtual education platforms. In the past, we used to see most of this happening only in the physical form. We were used to have a classroom uh, going atmosphere, and that was the normal system earlier. But now that has changed. There are at least a billion people, more than a billion people who are attending online classes, courses, and it has become a new normal. So I would like to ask you, Dr. Ujjwal Verma, as our program Rise is in the beginning is in virtual online form, and later we plan to move it to a physical form as well, whenever and wherever possible. So what do you think about this kind of setup which we are going with, and how it can be beneficial for the students as well as the mentors and guides from the academia and from the industry?
Yeah, thank you, Sagar. I'll take that. So, as Manik pointed out, in the last 2-3 years, because of the COVID pandemic, a lot of changes we have seen in the last few years. So, from the academic point of view or from an academician point of view, we also had to move to the online teaching and online research, if we want to say. So that also has a certain kind of silver lining, if you want my opinion, in the sense like right now, with the idea of the entire world is a single place. If I want to speak to someone, let's say Daryl or Justina, I can just have an online meeting via Zoom and Teams. I need not go there physically and have an interaction. So that is, I feel, a most important change that has happened in the past 2-3 years as far as the networking or the interaction or sharing of ideas is concerned. So for the RISE program also, we are focusing on that because we understand the students are pursuing their undergraduate or postgraduate studies, and it might not be possible for them to spend 6 months uh, either in India or any other place working on a physical project. So we thought, like, instead of asking them to come and stay with us physically, we will start this program online where they can attend the sessions as per their convenience according to the academic calendar. They can manage the time. They need not worry about whether my exams would be missed and what happens to my academics, other activities. They can attend the session online as per their convenience. And once they have completed the basic training, they have a rough idea of what exactly is meant by research, how it can be integrated in their rover team, how it can be of benefit to the rover team. We can probably think of it moving to the next step of having a physical interaction, probably in summer break or winter break. So the entire idea has been focused on the students, and it should be adaptable to them. It should be the timeline should be reasonable to them. So that's why we focused on an online only platform, and probably later on we'll move that to a physical event. Sagar?
Yeah, thank you, sir. Uh, Now I have one more question for Daryl, uh, and we'll conclude after that. So, Daryl, we have seen now there are so many road competitions. If I'm not wrong, there are around 6 road competitions happening in a calendar year now. The condition was completely different just 4 years back or 5 years back. We used to have just one or two competitions. Now URC is taking place, ERC is taking place, Anatolian Road Challenge, which is a new competition happening in Turkey, has started. Australian Road Challenge, and of course, International Road Challenge is already there. So these competitions are happening now. Teams have choices, and we see it gets quite difficult for them to choose among the competitions. And there are certain teams which want to participate in all the competitions. So, what do you think? What will be the future?
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see it growing. I mean, there's the demand is there. I mean, this was something we, in particular, struggled with a few years ago at URC. Just the logistics of having enough teams, or the ability to deal with enough teams, and so we were really excited to see when first the European Rover Challenge popped up. And it meant that even if we couldn't handle all the teams that wanted to participate in the University Rover Challenge, that there was another opportunity for them. And as interest in the competition grows worldwide, and we expand the opportunities for students, as you're seeing here, that the ability to meet that demand is growing as well. In particular, may have a competition in Africa soon. May have a competition or another competition in the Middle East soon. We don't yet have any opportunities in China or the Far East or in South America. But we hope those opportunities will become available sometime in the next few years. So it's really great to see this competition or set of competitions grow and also move beyond just the pure competitions themselves.
Yes, well, we hope that there are more competitions and we can have a world championship kind of thing in future, where teams participating in regional competitions and then they move to world championships. That would be a great thing. And
Yeah, this is something we've also been talking about for a long time. So, and the main issue there being the ability of teams to compete, like, twice in a year. But it's something that we hope to get going at some point soon.
yeah, maybe. And because whatever we are doing right now, we did not expect that as well. 5 years back, so many road competitions, as you rightly mentioned, Latin American region and Far East, the the Indian, Russia, Japan, and China. They are the one which are still left. But we hope that soon there will be more competitions there as well, and we can have a more inclusive environment where we can have teams from more parts of the world.
Yeah, it's just about making sure that there's opportunities out there for everybody, basically.
Yes.
So I
Now we
think we
also
have one question to you, Sagar, on our YouTube channel, so I will show it right now.
so yeah, what does the name SPROS stand for? So that's an interesting question. So when we started in the beginning, we were sure that we will keep it something related to space and robotics. But it took us some time to reach that name, Space Robotics Society. We spent a lot of time on deciding whether to keep it society, foundation, association, and but finally we went with the name Space Robotics Society. So basically, Space Robotics Society's short form is SPROS. SP from space and R from robotics and S from society. But at the same time, the name stems its origin from other words like space professionals or space projects. As I mentioned in the beginning, our mission is to be the ultimate hub or ecosystem for space professionals and space projects, and also headquarters of space proponents. So this is in line with our long-term vision, the name, and all our future activities will be under this one banner, SPROS. So thank you, Suninder, for asking the question. So yeah, before we conclude, we have two members from the rover teams. Someone who led the teams earlier, Anmol Kumar. He is a former member of Team Mars of Manipal from India, and we have Saksham Badani, who is a former team lead of Team Rudra from SRM Institute of Technology. So to both of them, I have one question, which is how the Indian rover community has changed after the establishment of IRC.
Yeah, hi, good evening and good morning to everyone joining us across the globe. Uh, so, I think when I joined my rover team back in 2017, there were just 7 or 8 teams in India. But after the advent of IRC, then IRDC, and also because of this pandemic, we have seen that number almost doubled in the duration, maybe even triple when we get the registration for this year's IRC and IRDC. And some of those teams, it has been very encouraging to see their progress from scratch. uh, Also, during the pandemic and after the pandemic, for the entire Indian rover community and the rover community in general across the world, there are two main challenges. One, as Manik already mentioned, uh, there has been a gap in knowledge transfer since the teams did not go for the competition for the past 2 years. So I think the teams, the rover community in India and across the world, they should really focus on the knowledge transfer and the synergy aspect of their teams. Uh, there should be a synergy between different teams of different years. So uh, there whatever they have learned from the previous competitions, that is not lost uh, when there is a change in guard. So maybe documentation or some other form of knowledge transfer could be used. I think other important thing for the Indian rover community right now is to, I think it has progressed very well in the past few years, but to reach to the next level, we should really focus more on the functionality aspect, because that is very important and that is the key in part of any competition. So your rover should be functional for the final competitions. So I think all the teams are working really well. We have been in touch with all of them. Hopefully, they are more prepared for upcoming events. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so I think Saksham has left. Oh, we have one more question. So, is there any registration fees for the participants who qualified IRC 2022? Yes, there is a registration fee for the participants who qualified for IRC 2022. And in fact, we don't have a registration fee. It's a first is a application fee, and then there is something known as participant fee. So previously, what happened? Participation fee was not taken. But what we have done for this in the coming year's competition, and we'll be updating this on the website by tonight or tomorrow. The teams which qualified for previous year's IRC 2022, we will have some concession for those teams. So that will be updated in the FAQ section of the website, and that will also be mailed separately to all the teams which qualified for IRC in 2022. So that's what we have kept. Now Saksham is back. So Saksham, the same question to you. So what is your take on the Indian rover community, and in particular, and also in general, what's about the world's rover community when you compare it with like from 2017 to 2022?
Okay, so uh, right now, if you see, I think there are about 30 teams now in India. But uh, when I joined my rover team, so at that point of time, I think there were only a few selected number of teams. Uh, so I guess the first thing that has improved is the amount of participation, also the amount of representation that everyone is getting. Uh, Now, if we see from the global point of view, so uh, there are a lot of colleges like all around the world, and a lot of students would want to participate in such competitions, but uh, having different timelines or maybe different limitations used to keep the numbers limited. But now with the community growing and a lot of people around to help, the community is growing fast, and I expect to see a lot more participation from India as well as abroad. And also, uh, as a sort of alumni from a rover team, um, I would love to help other teams as well as new people who would want to participate.
Thanks, Saksham. Now I think we have covered up everything. And Justina, we have more questions on YouTube, or that's it?
I think that Dasuni has joined us, so maybe you have a question to her.
Yeah, so we have one more member joined. So she's Dasuni. She has been the vice president of SETS Sri Lanka. She's involved in SGAC and so many other activities. And to be honest, the growth of student community in Sri Lanka related to space fields has been tremendous in past 3 years. And I know them since 2019 when they did not have even a single chapter of sets there. Now they have more than 16 chapters. So now I would like to ask to the Sunni. So what do you see the future of SETs and the space exploration activities in countries like Sri Lanka?
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Sagar, for the introduction. I think I am audible for everyone.
Yeah, the Sunni are audible.
Okay, so the thing is, at the moment, the country is going with a big economic crisis, and therefore we are having like dollar issues. So we are kind of facing a struggling finding sponsors for our projects that we have designed already. So therefore for that we need some time to overcome this one. uh, Other than that, we can like continue the space programs through online. So I think with our new SPROS and other SEDS associations in other countries, we can go further within Sri Lanka. So as a nation, we can grow up together with everyone. So I think after some time, the situation will be uh, solved, but we can't stop working for our aims and all. So I think we can get maximum benefit from our club also, and we have the biggest student association within Sri Lanka. So they are like inspired with all of these things, with going around specifically within Asia region. So I think this will be a good opportunity to everyone to get together and work for a same goal.
Yeah, this one, we hope that the situation improves soon in your country. And we are
Thank you.
very eager and excited to start our events in Sri Lanka. And we hope that that starts soon. So I think that's it. And I would like to thank everyone for joining us. Thank you very much, Daryl, for joining us. I know it's a very early morning there at your place. And thank you. I would like to thank Dr. Ojul Verma. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us and guiding us through RISE. We hope to continue to get your guidance and mentorship. And I would also like to thank Dr. Ramesh for joining us. Unfortunately, we had some voice issue and we were unable to hear him. And all other my teammates and others, thank you very much for joining. It's just a beginning, and we have so many programs lined up. And hopefully, once we conclude IRC in January 2023, after that we all have two new projects which we'll be launching, and we're just eagerly waiting for them. So thank you very much everyone for joining, and thank you all the audience who joined us. Thank you very much.